Our movie begins in Martha's Vineyard, with the conjoined brothers Walt and Bob as a result of a birthing mistake. Now we see Bob and Walt working in their burger restaurant, and it seems that they are very fast in preparing meals for customers. Walt talks to his brother about Bob's girlfriend, May, whom Bob hasn't met yet because he's ashamed of that, so Walt advises him to take a serious step and go and talk to her. During their conversation, a customer approached them, upset because the waiter had spilled a drink on his wife. The two try to calm the man down, but he starts mocking their appearance. All of the restaurant patrons who adore Bob and Walt interfered and were about to strike the man, so he fled. We now see Bob and Walt playing hockey brilliantly together, as no one could ever defeat them because of their harmony together. The two brothers then go to the bar to brag about their playing abilities, and then a beautiful woman enters the place, and Walt tries to encourage his brother Bob to go and talk to her, but he is embarrassed and refuses at first, but with Walt's insistence, Bob went and tried to talk to her, but he was very shy and unable to, so I invited him to dinner, and Walt intervened and easily controlled her. The next day, while the brothers are collecting firewood, Walt tells his brother about the approaching date of the theatrical performance in the city, which Walt will present. Here, Bob began to get nervous and had a nervous attack because he was afraid of appearing in front of the public. Walt tries to calm his brother down, and he succeeds in that after a while. On stage, Walt excelled in front of the audience as usual, and Bob, on the other hand, was feeling more nervous, but fortunately the show ended beautifully. Walt chatted to his brother on the way and told him how strong their link was, and the two began to recall the past, as we saw them highly adept at cooperating with one another since childhood, in baseball skills as well as boxing, and even the Miss Martha's Vineyard contest, which the two won jointly. Back to the present, Walt tells Bob that he wants to go to Los Angeles to become an actor there. Bob refuses and tells him that he cannot leave the city and live in Los Angeles, but Walt tries to convince him in every way, even telling him that by going to Los Angeles, Bob will be able to see his May sweetheart there. In the end, Bob was convinced of the situation and agreed to go. While the two brothers were leaving, the inhabitants of the city bid them farewell. When the two brothers arrived in Los Angeles, they began looking for a motel. Finally, they arrived at a lovely hotel and met with the owner, who was quite pleasant. While the two brothers are preparing food, their roommate, April, arrives and begins to get to know them, telling them that she is a model, and Walt tells her that he is a famous actor who has come to work in Los Angeles. Then April tells him that he can find more jobs as an actor in a newspaper, and Walt is very happy about that. And the next day, we witness Walt trying to portray Robin Hood in one of the studios, but the director mocks him, and the two brothers' mission to find a position for representation begins, but they are denied everywhere due of their appearance, and they are also mocked. Walt is disappointed and depressed at night because of what happened and because he did not obtain any acting parts, but Bob reminds him not to give up and encourages him to continue and grow. In the morning, Bob helps his brother and tells him that he was able to get an appointment with one of the film producers, whose name is Orly. In the nursing home, he meets the Orly brothers and asks them for money so that he can get them a role in the next movie. Walt will pay him, and he is very happy with this opportunity. On their way back, Walt was surprised to see a famous actress sitting in the restaurant, so he went to talk to her and express his admiration for her. He also told her that she had visited his restaurant in Martha's Vineyard before but could not remember it. In the end, the actress remembered the two from the rugby game that the two were playing in. On the beach, Walt talks to April for a while, then she asks him why they didn't perform surgery to separate them, but Walt tells her that it is possible, but the probability of Walt surviving the operation is only 50%, so Bob always refuses to do that operation. At home, a call finally comes from Orly telling them that Walt has a role in a movie. Walt is very happy about this, then tells Bob of a surprise, that he invited May to the hotel so that Bob could meet her. Here, Bob gets very tense and has a seizure as usual because he is ashamed to see May, then tells his brother that unfortunately he did not tell May before about their condition, and that they are attached irritates Walt, but while they are conversing, we see that May has already arrived at the hotel and is inquiring about Bob with the hotel owner. Bob got even more nervous because he didn't want her to see him like that. The two brothers met her in the car so that she could not find out about their adhesion. Bob attempts to be friends with her before inviting her to supper in the car, which makes May dubious of the situation. Following that, the atmosphere in the car between Bob and May is very tense because he was unable to openly discuss any issue with her due to his shyness, so May begins to get nervous and has a nervous attack because she also believes Bob does not love her or that she does not look as beautiful as he expected. The two brothers were eventually able to calm May down and explain the situation to her. Then Bob and May spend a beautiful night during Walt's sleep, after which Bob delivers her to the house, and Bob's initial interview finally succeeds. The next day, we see the actress Cher quarreling with her manager because he got her a bad role in a series. But he tells her that he did this because she had signed a contract with the company, and she must play that role or pay a large sum of money. Cher gets very angry hearing that and is about to hit her business manager, but Bob and Walt enter the place by mistake. When Walt sees Cher, he is very happy because he is a big fan of her and her work. But she treats them in a rude way and asks them to leave. On the other hand, we see Walt preparing to play the role that Orly brought him in the movie, but he is surprised that the movie is a movie for adults only, so he refuses to work on it and leaves the place with Bob. The business manager informs Cher that she has to act or a case will be filed against her, and here comes her idea, which is to make the two brothers act with her in the series until the administration rejects the matter and ends the contract. Then you go to tell the two brothers about it, and Walt rejoices a lot. The brothers encounter May and April at night, and Walt tries to explain to her why he was with Bob. He had wounded his foot. The pals are having a good time when a man purporting to be May's friend approaches and tries to fight Bob, but Walt stops him so that it is not exposed that they are stuck with May. Then everyone gets to dance, and the two brothers do it so well that May doesn't notice, and the two females go to the bathroom. Here, the man returns again to Bob and tries to mock him after finding out that he was attached to his brother in the same body. Bob tries at first to avoid problems, but in the end the two brothers manage to beat the man and his friends after a strong battle breaks out between them, in which Bob and Walt excel. Cher's business manager tells the company about the two brothers, but they agree despite that, and Walt begins to act with Cher already in the series, but with difficulty because of Bob's tension, as usual. Then Bob continues to deceive May, and as time passes, we see Walt begin to succeed as an actor in front of Cher, and the two brothers begin to take the spotlight away from her and gain a large audience. At the hotel, May goes to see Bob, but she is surprised to see the two brothers sleeping together, which confuses her. Bob is sad because of this, and Walt tries to calm him down. While they are talking, Orly storms the place and tells them that the audience has discovered the fact that they are conjoined. She then suggests that they try to deceive the audience and hide the truth, but April refuses. And she suggests that they tell everyone the truth about them, which the two brothers do, and their fame grows as a result. And then we see Walt's great success in advertising and acting. Here we see Bob, who is beginning to get annoyed by Walt's great success and its influence on him. At the restaurant, Walt asks Bob to agree to the surgery because it would be better for them, so that Bob can live his life more freely and not be affected by Walt's success. Bob refuses and tells Walt not to think about it again. Walt insists on his decision, and then he harasses Bob by smoking and drinking alcohol, until he robs a woman on the road, which causes them to be arrested and imprisoned. In prison, the policeman started mocking them and his friends, which bothered Bob a lot. The next day, Bob asked Walt to apologize to him for what he had caused, but Walt refused to do so. And here a fight took place between them, where the two landed many punches on each other, and in the end, Bob agreed to the surgery decision. At night, Bob and Walt spend a good time with April and the owner of the hotel, and here comes May. Then she explains to Bob that she has understood the matter wrong and apologizes to him for that. The next day, the two brothers were ready to go for the surgery. And Bob was worried about his brother after the operation, so he asked him to promise him that he would stay alive after the operation, and Walt agreed to that. After a lot of waiting in the operating room, the doctor finally came and told April and May that the operation had been successful and that the two brothers were still alive. After that, the two brothers tried to adapt to the new situation. They were very happy about it, and each of them began to make his own path. After a while, Bob told Walt that he was going to go back with May to Martha's Vineyard and live there. Walt was sad that his brother would leave him alone, but he agreed nonetheless. Over time, the two brothers began to find it difficult to live without each other, and this negatively affected the work of Walt and Bob as well. Even in sports, Bob failed to play professionally after losing his brother. On the way, we see Walt grieving over the loss of his brother, and he begins to recall some memories of them together from their childhood days. Then Cher goes shopping and is surprised to see Walt crying in the garden because he lost his brother. Then she goes to talk to him and to relieve him. Finally, she tells him to do the thing he loves to do without thinking. On the other hand, we see a sad Bob in his restaurant, but he is surprised by Walt's appearance there and his return again. 1 year later, we see that the two brothers have returned to work together again, and things are usually as they were. Finally, we see Walt presenting his theatrical performance in front of the city audience in a wonderful way, and everyone admires him. And here our movie ends. Remember to subscribe and like to receive all new posts.